I managed to get out over the weekend and do a bit more fishing or research, I'm calling it now. What I was after was a lot more images and some video footage. And really now is kind of the bit I've been dreading, which is turning that into a drawing, a working drawing. I think the reason I've been dreading it so much is because I'm taking a 3D object and drawing it in 2 dimensions to make it again in 3 dimensions. So I've really got to understand what I'm doing and the shapes and the kind of interplay. There's a few things I need to make an accurate drawing of what I want to make. And one of them is just a simple top view of a fish, and I've done that over the weekend. It's taken a lot of pictures of a fish in an ice cream tub just to get that top image. The great thing about CAD is I can take these images in and work directly off a fish. It's not going to be perfect, but I can make adjustments as I go to kind of make it easier to make, basically. The other view is then the side view, and that's relatively easy. I've just laid the fish down. And again, I can work off this image, but also kind of keep other images in my mind. At the end of the day, I'm not making a fish. What I'm making is a lure. Really, the third view I need is cross sections, and these tend to be the most complex. And with this fish, it's kind of where I've really had to do a bit of research to kind of get my head round.
So I managed to survive the man flu last week. I didn't get my blog out. My voice is probably still a bit croaky. My nose is definitely bunged up, but I'm no worse for wear. I also managed to get some experiments done with the lure, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. I'll come back to them later. But at the moment, I really wanted to go back to the drawing and how I dealt with them cross sections. The 2 most important bits of information to bring together were the top and the side view. And I also added some lines that were equally spaced. They were going to define where the sections were going to be. From there, it was relatively easy to kind of pick where I wanted to start, which was the middle of the layer. And I extended some lines out and then brought them back together to give me that rectangle. One of the interesting images I found online was a very thin slice through a roach. I'll put a link up to the website. And I used this to draw the spine on my own fish and also add the area for the organs. I also bought from the tackle shop some roach dead baits. These are not the best, to be honest. I mean, they've been frozen and vacuum packed and a little distorted, but they still show the kind of muscle and the organ area. And finally, I found some illustrations of a carp. So it was really a case of bringing all these elements together. The first thing to do with the drawing was to bring over that line from the spine into my rectangle. Using the dissection picture from that area of the fish, I kind of reproduced with arcs that top curve, leaving just a slight point because it doesn't actually sit completely round. For the bit underneath the spine where the organs normally sit, on the reference image, I think this was basically compressed by the freezing process. So I really had to kind of do a bit of guesswork and produce an arc for the sides and then just simply round out the bottom of the belly. That really gave me one cross section, but I realised it was probably going to be a bit too wide as I was creating the plug, and that plug was going to have another skin of clay around it. And then I kind of worked my way along to the other stations. At the tail end, because there's no cavity for the organs, basically the muscles are equal on the top and the bottom. And the head end, where it's a little fatter, ends up looking like an oval. With the cross sections complete, it was really time to start making the plug. To turn the drawing back into a solid object, I'm cutting out the cross sections that I've printed out on some paper. I've stuck these onto some 1mm styrene sheet This is something I've picked up from the local art shop. I can sand the edges back to get me a little nearer to the line, and then with a craft knife cut them in half. I've also taken some thin hardwood and cut it down on the bandsaw before planing it up to width. That width is the gap between the sections, less the thickness of the plastic. I'm cutting it to length so I can stick it into place behind the first station. And then with some super glue I can fit the first section. And then work my way down the body to the tail section where it thins out, where I can use some styrene instead of wood. With both sides complete, I'm drilling a hole for a handle, which is just a nail I can glue into place so it'll all stand up in a block of wood.
If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share or leave a comment. I'm also running a Patreon campaign if you'd like to take a step further and support the channel with an ongoing donation. To see more handmade fisherman videos, click on the channel link or subscribe to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching.